Hello and welcome. Ciao Francesco,
Hi,
how are you?
hi. Fine, fine. It's almost weekend, so I'm already in the weekend mindset, so I'm quite fine.
That's absolutely cool, and that's also why we wanted to start this new series of fun, we hope, events, but also informative with a chat with the author. So, welcome folks. My name is Enrico, I'm from Avanscoperta. As you can see from all the branding, all the possible branding is available. Today, so as I mentioned, I have the pleasure to start a new series of live events here on Facebook. Well, it's Facebook now, let's see how it goes. And these events will be about our activity as book publishers. Yeah, that's right. You might have heard something about it or read it on the internet. Avanscoperta, since December last year, which is just 2 months ago, decided to become a publisher. Well, we don't have the name yet, maybe a publisher, an editor, publishing company, media company, whatever. So basically, we started publishing books. And the first book we are basically publishing is Francesco's book, available on LeanPub. So how does LeanPub works very briefly? LeanPub is an online platform where you can publish the book piece by piece, and people do read it as it gets written by the author. In this way, you get notified every time a new part of the book is written, and you can follow the author in the process of writing the book until when the book is finished, of course. This also means you can start a relationship with the author if you want, send feedback, comments, etc. So that's enough of introduction. I would like then to introduce you the very first and special guest. You already know him. It's Francesco Strazzullo. He's the crazy guy who was crazy enough to start this adventure with us. We are very grateful for that. Calling straight from his office in Treviso. Well, you might know him as Strazz. That's his nickname. Francesco is in the process of writing actually his second book. The first one was on Frameworkless, which was also a workshop we did with him, because also this book has the same title as a workshop we are doing together. We'll touch on that later on. So if you didn't get it up until now, or you just connected, welcome. We are here to talk about Francesco Strazzullo's new and in the process book called Decision Making for Software Development Teams. That's an interesting title. We tried to replicate in the name of this series as well. So it's 5 o'clock in Italy, tea time or beer o'clock. It's a decision, right? Today is not about this type of decision, where I hope you're enjoying some kind of drinks because we are almost in the weekend, but it's about decisions in the software development world. So as you might have guessed, Francesco has been focused in the importance of decisions in the life of software development teams. And this topic is often overlooked when it comes to recruiting, to choosing what technology or what web framework to choose next and what's not. So we are here today to find out a bit more about the topic, the process of writing a book, and of course we do welcome all your questions. You will have the chance to do that in this Facebook event. We'll be reading them out loud as we go along. Also, it's the first time we are trying StreamYard for this live, so it's a very playful tool. We are happy about it. Just before we start, I would like to show you very briefly the cover of the book and where you can find it, because at the end of the day, we want you to check it out and eventually start this journey with us and Francesco. So the book is on LeanPub. As I mentioned before, you can buy it now for an amount of money, which is the one shown on the website. You can pay more. You can pay it later on when it's finished, up to you. So this is the cover of the book, so you can get familiarized with it. And I would say that's it for an introduction. Let's see if we have any comments. Not yet, but we'll keep an eye on them. So Francesco, how are you again? We have a few people watching us, so we do a
A recap. Okay.
A recap of how you are.
I'm still fine, like 5 minutes ago.
Everything's still good.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I'm really happy to be here with you and try to do something new with Facebook Lives together and try to have some fun because it's Friday after all.
Absolutely. So let's start this conversation. So as we said, we do talk about books. But this very book that Francesco is writing on LeanPub is, as we said, on decision-making for software development teams. So enough of me talking. Francesco, why a book on this very topic?
I think the main point is that is, like you said in the introduction, is often overlooked. It's a skill that is undervalued by developers. But I think that it's very important to understand that making decision is actually a process. Okay, it's something that you can learn. Okay, like you learn to develop in C#, Java, or whatever, you can actually learn to make decision. And the main point is that the main problem is that decisions are hidden in almost every aspect of a developer. Because, for example, you may say, how many tests I have to write for this feature? Or what kind of test I have to write for this feature? Because they seem simple to answer, but this question often have a lot of different point of view. So it's very hard to see that as a decision problem. So that's the main point of the book. It's you have to learn and to study how to make decisions, because it's very, very important. It's I will say that it's an hard skill for developer, not just a soft skill.
That's correct, Francesco. Actually, we often refer to this decision-making field as a soft skill thing, but as you said, it's actually hard in the sense that it is difficult.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Probably the most interesting point of what you just said, I'll try to summarize, is that decisions are really hidden everywhere. And since they are everywhere, it's difficult sometimes maybe even to spot them, which is why people think it's just part of life, let's put it this way, and not treat it as a topic or some areas where they need to invest.
Exactly. I would like to make another example. For example, deadlines. When you have a deadline, you are trying to not miss the deadline. You are making a lot of decisions. Probably you are doing that without knowing. Okay, and that's exactly the point. Because if you actually know that you are making decision, you can communicate your decision and you can actually work better. If you start making decision without thinking about it, you will never, for example, communicate what you are doing. For example, you can say, I would like to do this feature before because, I don't know, any kind of reason, okay? But the point is that if you do that automatically, because your brain works in that way, okay? That's the main problem. The brain works automatically when someone needs to make a decision. Most of the time, your brain works like on autopilot. And so the point is that the first and most important point is to recognize the decision that you have in your everyday life.
That's super cool as an insight. Thanks for sharing that, because yeah, as we said, they are hidden everywhere, and even a deadline, right? It has and implies a lot of decisions we take for granted, we don't consider at all, and that's very important to focus on that as well. Right, another question we had from our, well, I could call it community, is what was the Eureka moment? So when did it all start? Of course, when a person decides to write a book, of course, first thing, you don't know what mess you're getting yourself into, right?
Yeah.
That's the first point.
Yeah, but this is the second book, okay? So
that's the second, so you already knew it.
Yeah.
So we,
but this time is without code, so it's like, you know, it's different from the first one. So it's I'm equally crazy, I think, to do that. But but the Eureka moment. Okay, well, how did it all start? Okay, I think that the Eureka moment was just after the first edition of our first workshop about Frameworkless frontend. Because, okay, I prepared an entire 2-day workshop to help people to understand how to work without frameworks, okay? And they were right, people start asking, okay, when I have to work without frameworks? And then it said, but yes, but you need to do that, this kind of analysis, this kind of discussion, this kind of brainstorming to understand it. And then I said that, okay, I'm actually helping you, not with code this time, but with decision making. And so I started to go deeper and deeper into the next editions of the workshop. And then when I wrote the first book about Frameworkless, the last chapter was called The Right Tool for the Right Job. So it was about deciding a technology stack. And after that, I said, okay, cool, but there is a lot more. There is a lot more about it. And so I started to study and to talk with a lot of people that I have in my network about decision. I talked in my company because we also have developers in our company have to take a lot of decisions. So I also had a lot to, you know, analyze, looking at my own colleagues. And then after a couple of years, actually, I started also to help teams to do that. I became a consultant in technical decision making, with dedicated workshop for teams that need to choose a new framework, for example, or to work on legacy code. And then I decided, okay, I have enough material in my head, I needed to put it down. And so I proposed to you the workshop and then also the book about it. And I use both to, you know, I use the workshop to test ideas, then I wrote them down, and then I asked for feedback about the book, and so on.
That's cool. So it's basically, as you mentioned, it's all a learning process that has taken shape over the, I don't know, shall we say 5-6 years?
Yeah,
something
I think,
like that.
Yes, 5 years, I think, yeah.
So yeah, I remember when we did the first edition of the Frameworkless one in Milan, and then we did, of course, loads of meetups when they were possible to do in person, both Milan and Bologna, and eventually it did lead you to this new workshop that we are doing. We are doing another one in April. I'll share the link later on with all of you, and so the book as well, right? So because today we are here mostly to talk about the books. What does it mean to write a book, and how probably if it's easy or not to write down, you know, all the experiences you've had and how to, you know, make them work in a book fashion. So of course, this leads us to the next question, which is, so what does it actually mean, or what does it mean to actually write a book? So one thing is, of course, to do workshops and talks and everything else, but to give, you know, that kind of shape to your thoughts. And I don't know if you have any routines you want to share. Of course, this is the second book. Let's repeat it because maybe someone is just connecting with us now. So the book we are talking about today with Francesco is called Decision Making for Software Development Teams, edited by Avanscoperta. But the first one was about Frameworkless, edited by Press. So tell us more.
Yeah, I don't have any kind of specific routine about the book. The only thing that I do is I try to write a chapter every month. That's I impose a deadline to myself. because this helped me. If when you have a deadline, you have a box. Okay, I have a box of 1 month, and I have to decide what to put that in that box. Of course, I have the table of content. I've wrote it down in the LeanPub page, and I have it in my mind. But having a frame helped me to decide exactly what to put on it. And I'm quite strict on publish a chapter for a month. If I have too much to say, I will split it into chapters. This is the only rule that I have. And then I try to write something every Friday morning. This is the only routine that I have. On Friday morning, I always write something down. 2 or 3 hours, and I wrote it down without any kind of distraction. That's the only routine I have. Also because I am quite a mess with, time organizing, all this stuff. Okay, so it's very, very few rules, because I know that I am not good with them. So that's all that I impose to myself.
I think it does make a lot of sense, to be honest, because as you said, not a lot of rules, but just stick to them. And if you know that, for example, on Friday morning, that's when you're not, because it's Friday, maybe also because it's Friday, because you are already in the weekend mode. Yeah. So Friday morning, the last, say, important thing you do, apart from being here with me today, it's gonna be write some parts of the book. And so I guess then it's a lot of reading. So, for example, do you print? That's a question on top of my head right now. I did some proofreading in my life, and I studied as translator. And one of the tricks they told us was to actually print what you are writing and actually do it with pen and paper. Do you have any tips like that, or how are you approaching this proofreading part?
No, I have to be honest. I just use Grammarly for a first check, and then I wait. After I finish the first draft, I wait a week. I don't read it for a week. I try to, forget everything about what I wrote in the last month. And then the week later, I just writing everything from scratch to actually, try to forget what I thought when I was reading. Okay, that's the point. This is the only trick that I have in mind now. To wait, I let my mind forget.
I think it's an excellent one, because when you watch it with fresh eyes, even though it's something that you did right, actually, it does make the difference, because you might spot here there is a logic jump, which I just jumped from one concept to the other. And that's how you find out sometimes. But we do know that, of course, writing a book is, or at least was, or forever will be, considered like a one-person operation. But we know that that is not the case, and probably it's never been. But we all have that kind of idea of one person writing, hidden somewhere with a small light, candlelight in the night. But we do know that actually there's other people who might be involved into this. One of them I mentioned before, spoiling the question to myself, actually, and is the proofreader. So it's a person just making sure the text, we can summarize it as makes sense from a logical, technical, and grammatical what's not point of view. So my next question would be, who is helping you in this?
Yeah. I actually have 3 proofreaders. The first one it's my sister, because my sister is not a developer. She's a math researcher here in Italy. And I ask her help, because in this case, I will not have probably any kind of code in the book. And so I was asking her if it's clear enough, okay, for a non-technical point of view, because when you know what you are talking about, it's harder to spot illogical things or jumps like you said. And then I have other two proofreaders. They are Ian Verschaste and Barry O'Reilly. They help me with grammar. Okay, we're using a GitHub, for example, for like pull requests to do grammar stuff. And then we open issues to talk about things that we like to change or to ask for more information. And so I'm using GitHub as a repository of things that I have to do next. Listening to their feedbacks. They are very, very helpful feedbacks because on the other hand, they know what they're talking about. And so they can give you the insight of, okay, but I would like to know also this. And I say to them, okay, but this, I will talk about this in the 5th chapter. Perhaps they could say, but it's better to do that now. There is one thing quite singular in the approach that I have with them is that I say to them, okay, give me your feedbacks, but I will publish it anyway in a month. And I will go back later on that. This is because I'm really strict with the rule to write something down every month to my readers, especially because we are on LeanPub. And I'm getting also some feedback from readers. So it's for me, it's quite important to go fast and break things, like they say. And I keep all these feedbacks. And when right now I'm writing the 1st chapter, but I'm also rewriting the 2nd chapter with the feedbacks of the proofreaders. So it's quite useful. And apart from proofreaders, I'm actually asking for help also to some of my colleagues to cover some topics that I'm not, that would like a second opinion. For example, Lorenzo Massacci, that is another Avanscoperta trainer, and we are talking about collaborative decision making. That is a topic that he loves very much. So, I talk with other people to try to figure out some cool logic jump between chapters. But also with other colleagues of mine about user research, because one chapter will be on how user research will impact decision for developers. It may sound strange, but if you are building a WhatsApp clone, for example, it's very different if your target are millennials or if they are boomers. And that kind of difference should in a way also arrive to your code. That's the point. And they are happy with that because I'm not a user researcher. So I'm trying to figure out how to write it with them.
That's really cool and gives us some insight for the next live.
Yeah,
when we will find out something more about it. That's all pretty interesting. So, of course, you said you're not doing this on your own, and you have on one side people checking the how to say non-technical part of it. In this case, your sister, and on the other side, other two proofreaders checking actually both aspects, which is both the form of it and the content. How are you finding doing this with your deadline? Like you said, every month you want to publish a chapter. Is this happening with good feedback, or would you say to yourself, next time I do it every 2 months?
No, I like it. I prefer to write smaller chapters or to write, a draft, but to start to have a finished form of the chapter in a month. Probably it will take some time to switch from the LeanPub version to the final paper version, okay? Because later, perhaps I want to move a chapter, okay, something like that. But I try to stick with the one chapter for month. That's I think I really like this kind of schedule.
That's pretty cool. So another point you mentioned, and I did touch on it when I was introducing you for a long time. I'll repeat it again. So what happens on LeanPub is Francesco, in this case, is having his routine, which is to publish, say, one chapter or parts of text every weeks, months, etc. So you, as a reader, get the chance to see the book as it basically gets developed. But also, thanks to the feedback of the proofreaders, of the publisher, of all of you, basically, the readers, the author also has the chance to review everything and give it, say, a final shape before calling it a day and say the book is closed. So I don't want to start any controversy with this, but I have a question now, which
okay.
I was curious by when you said this whole LeanPub and writing every month. Would you have preferred to do this even for the other book? Say, is this a good method for a writer to have the chance to, review it and never have it until, a certain stage published and this is my book?
Yeah. Also because, okay, I'm not famous. Okay, I'm not Uncle Bob. So the point is that I'm also using Talk's blog post to talk about this stuff. And it's not just a book. And so I can use all the material that I gather to also understand what people actually feel a pain about it. And so probably the book will have a very different form for what I managed at the beginning. So perhaps it's harder on my side, because it's easier to just say there, say, okay, I want to say this stuff, and I wrote it down. But it's also about giving back. I'm here writing this book because I read a lot of books and I had help in these years of a lot of people. So I want to try to do also something that really can help someone. This is harder. It may take more time to write it down completely, but I really love this kind of process.
I was muted. Yeah, that's all very cool. I was trying to type what you were saying because it actually does make a difference. Because someone might say, yeah, let's just write the book and forget about it. But on the other hand, even doing this is not that easy, even though it does sound easy. Say, okay, I write just small parts and then I change them and give them the final shape I want them to have. Might sound simpler, but it's not, because of course that also means you have the frame of mind to go back to what you said, question what you're writing, and be willing to accept feedback. And actually, if the end goal is to help someone, that's very noble, I would say. And this was not prepared. That's kind of came to me as a question as we were talking, but I think you gave us a nice perspective on this, which is not probably the most common. We are about to end. I would ask again to our viewers, if you are there, to drop some comments if you want. We'll stay around for a few more minutes and then we call it a day, because it's actually beer o'clock now. Right, Strazz?
Yeah. I prefer tea. Okay.
Well, it's a choice, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We have it in the title, and we like both. So if there's any question, or I don't know, Strazz, if you want to close, the stage is yours.
Oh no, I'm not.
No.
I'm not creative at all. With with impromptu or improvisation. It's not my sport, really.
So you are using all the creativity and your insight to write the book, and we thank you for that. That's enough. Also, today was Friday, so we know it was your writing day. So that's enough for today. So feel free to comment on this video, which will remain available in the next weeks, of course. And I think we are coming back in 2 weeks' time, right, Strazz? Because it was fun. We liked it. This half an hour was just flying. If you have questions and you want to write them here or send us an email, you'll find us anywhere. We are Avanscoperta. We are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, anywhere you like. So I did post the link to Francesco's book in the comments here. Take a look. Let us know if you like it. If you have any feedback, feel free to contact Francesco himself as well. And I guess this is a wrap. So I will see you all in 2 weeks' time for another chat with Francesco. And very interested about the user research bit you mentioned before, with no pressure, of course. If there's nothing to say, we'll skip on that. And well, that's it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Talk soon. Bye.